Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and this is a quick cold and dark startup tutorial for the Airbus A320 family. That includes the A318, the 19, the 320, 21, all of the Neo engine variants, and today we'll be flying the Fenix A321 for a flight from JFK to Orlando. So let's hop into the cockpit and I will show you guys how to get started. And here we are in the flight deck of the Fenix A321. Now, all of the Airbus A320 family aircraft by the various developers all work largely the same. The biggest difference is right here. That is in the EFB. That is in some of the automations. I'm going to show you guys specifically what you need to get set up in the EFB or the iPad here computer for the Fenix. So we'll start off over at the settings. And you're just going to want to make sure that you have your SimBrief username here at the top left. I have mine in here, and you'll also be able to log into Navigraph. As you can see, I'm already signed in. Now, there's a lot of settings in here you can mess with, but again, this is a quick start guide, so I'm going to show you just what you need to know for this tutorial. We'll click the home button, and then you click on the Fenix app and go over to Sim Settings. And here we'll click on Units. And if you need to, you can change your distance from feet to meters, your pressure from inches to hectopascals. So if you're in the US, inches. If you're anywhere else in the world, for the most part, it's hectopascals. And then your weight between pounds and kilograms. And that's really it. Assuming you've already created a flight plan on simbrief.com, you can go over to My Flight here on the left and click Tap to import from SimBrief. So I'll tap here to import from SimBrief. And now there it is. There's my flight loaded into the EFB, as well as a time for my departure time. You can change these times by hitting the little pencil tool here if you adjust it. I'm going to click here on this left tab so I can have my weather up and ready to go for later. Now let's get all the tablet stuff out of the way because this is specific to the Fenix aircraft. We'll go to ground services. This is where you can open all your doors, connect your GPU. As you can see, I have it connected here, and remove your toxin cones. Next, we'll go to mass and balance. And here you can either manually select how many passengers you want, or again, because this is a quick start guide, I'm going to show you guys the faster way, and that is to click the pink load aircraft here. If you have GSX, you can use GSX boarding, but again, we're trying to be fast today, we'll hit instant. That's going to instantly load my aircraft with all the passengers and with all of our fuel. Okay, with that out of the way, we can now move on to the actual power up and startup of this A320. So let's go to the top panel here, and we'll go ahead and click on external power, which is showing available. There we go. We'll hold battery 1, battery 2, and now the top left, I'm going to click on our ADIRs. So ADIR IR1, IR2, and then IR3, all into the up nav position. Now, staying on the left side of the top panel here, we'll scroll down here until we see ground controller. We'll click on that and then click on the crew supply, and that light should go off. And now, because we've already fueled our plane, we can turn our fuel pumps on. So go click here, and basically get all the lights that say off. All right, let's go down here to our lighting panel, and we'll get our nav lights to 1. We'll get our smoking signs to auto, and we'll get our emergency exit lights to armed. That's the middle position. If you need overhead lighting, that's this button here. All right, let's get the APU turned on. We'll click on APU master switch on. Take a look down here at your center screen, and you'll be waiting for the flap open to appear on the screen. Okay, there it is. Flap is open. Go back to the overhead, and just below the APU master switch, we'll click start. APU's firing up. All right, once that APU start switch says avail, that means your APU is now powered on. You can click on APU bleed just above it. That'll go blue. Now, if you need to talk to ATC, this will be a good time to get your IFR clearance. So let me show you guys how to get your radios set up. So go slide down underneath the FMC here. Here's your radio panel. For us here in JFK, it's gonna be 135.05. That is clearance delivery, where we will get our IFR clearance for our flight. We'll click on the little arrow that'll swap it over. Now, it depends which aircraft you're flying, but you may need to turn your radios on. So VHF1 is your main radio. You can click on that. If it's lit, that means it's active. So if you don't hear anything, turn that on. And you can turn the volume up by twisting it from left to right and make sure the green light is on the call. Also optional, if the aircraft supports it, you have your intercom switch, you have your cabin, and you have your PA switch if you want to make a PA announcement. Okay, next, if you want to fly airliners, you're going to spend a lot of time in this box here. This is the FMGC, also known as the MCDU. To get it set up, we'll go ahead and hit @SU here. And then we'll hit AOC menu. And again, assuming you have a flight plan made and filed on SimBrief, this should work for you. We'll click on the flight initialization here, and then just hit init data request. Give it a few seconds, and it will actually fill out your entire flight plan right there for you. There it is. Our flight plan is now there on the left, JFK to Orlando with the alternate of Tampa. Now all we need to do is click init key. That'll take us to our initialization page. We'll click on init request on the right with the star. That will import all of our new data, but we are missing a few small details. It's not required to put the flight number in, so I'll leave it blank. Cost index, per what I have from SimBrief, is 15. Our cruise altitude for this flight will be 360, that's 36,000 feet. And clear again, and clear again. And then I'll click on IRS initialization, which has already been done, but sometimes it may say align on a ref. If it does, just click the bottom right soft key. Hit return. We'll now go to flight plan, F-plan. We'll click on our departure airport, which is KJFK, so click on KJFK, because when you import your flight plan like this, it puts everything in there except for your departure and arrival. So we're gonna put our departure in by clicking on departure. ATC gave me 22 left. And we'll be doing the JFK5 standard instrument departure, the SID, right here. And it'll be no transition for this. So we'll hit insert on the bottom right in orange. That's going to apply the amendment to our flight plan. It's not much, it's just like a vector departure. And then we'll click on our destination airport, which is KMCO, Orlando. We'll click on that. On the key on the left, we'll go to arrival in the top right. And this is where we're going to actually put in our approach and arrival information. So again, looking back at my flight plan, I'm expecting to runway 17 left ILS. Our star or standard terminal arrival is the G tout. So to scroll down this list, if you don't see it, you can click on the arrow. The up arrow will scroll you down. The down arrow go up. So we'll hit the down arrow, up arrow, hit G tout. And our transition is leopard. So we'll click on leopard here on the right. And then I'll click on approach via here in white. And I know that my approach via is actually going to be Hervey. We'll click right there. Now return. And now to finalize these changes, we'll hit temporary insert. There we go. Now don't worry about this flight plan discontinuity. We're going to have to fly direct to Wavy after ATC gives us permission to do so. Next, what I recommend is always scroll through your flight plan and make sure everything looks good. Now we do have a flight plan discontinuity here that I know I can get rid of. To get rid of this discontinuity, I'm going to hit clear on the bottom right here. I'm going to first clear the manual, and then I'm going to hit clear again on the actual discontinuity itself. And now we have no longer a disconnection between our two waypoints. Now hit insert again to finalize those changes, and there we go. We'll have a nice smooth flight there. And that's it. We'll go back to our initialization page. Since boarding is already complete, because we instantly did it, we'll click the right arrow here. That'll take us to see our zero fuel weight and things like that. You can put this in manually, but again, we're going to be fast today. We'll go back to our EFB. Make sure you are on the mass imbalance page, and then hit send to MCDU. Success. And now that is now automatically filled out for us. All right, next, we're going to go to our performance page by clicking perf. And I have a shortcut for this page as well. If we go back to our EFB and we go back to the home page, click on the departure perf. Here you'll see it automatically has put in our departure airport. We have to change our runway to 22 left because ATC gave us 22 left. It is dry, so we'll leave that as is. We'll click on sync load sheet. That's going to bring in our aircraft data into this page. We can leave everything else the same. And then the next line, we'll go ahead and hit sync live weather. That'll bring in the current weather. And then just click calculate. Now we have some new numbers on the right for our performance. And all we gotta do now is hit send to MCDU. Go back to our MCDU and we'll now see that page has now been filled out. There's only one last thing I want to do on this page, and I want to copy our clean speed 217. Basically our pre-selected climb out speed. So we'll go type 217 here on the scratch pad, and we'll put that next to pre-sel. That means pre-selected. So basically, after we get airborne and the auto throttle takes over, it will use this speed as it climbs up until we tell it otherwise. And lastly, we'll click on the initialization page, and this is completely optional, but we'll click on wind and then wind request. And that'll bring in our wind data for all of our waypoints throughout our entire flight plan for a bit more accuracy for our VNAV. Alright, we are almost ready for engine start. Let's go ahead and put our altimeter in so we can see that back on our departure page. The weather 250 at 5, altimeter is 3021. I'm going to put that right here on the left side. There is an option in the EFB to sync both of these so you don't have to do it twice. So 3021 on the left and on the right side. Okay, set 3 times. Now ATC also gave us 5,000 feet for our initial climb, so we'll set that. Make sure what you want to see up here on the Autopilot panel is you want to see the dash dot on everything except for your altitude. Alright, we are ready for pushback. Let's go ahead and get the external power turned off. And we'll go over to our EFB. Under ground services. And if you're using GSX, a lot of this is actually automatic, but if you don't have GSX, you can close your doors, disconnect the external power, and remove the chocks all here on this page. Next, on the overhead panel, we're going to go ahead and turn our seatbelt signs on. We'll turn our beacon light on. And if you're using GSX, the ground crew will actually go into motion. The jet bridge will disconnect automatically. As you can see, she has the flag. She's going to connect the flag to our nose gear and start the pushback process. Again, if you have GSX, all you need to do is turn your seatbelt signs on and your beacon light on and disconnect the external power, and they will automatically do the pushback process for you. If you do not have GSX, you can do all this manually here in a tablet. Alright, tug is connected, we're ready to push back. Let's go ahead and get our brakes released, which is back here.
JetBlue 1179.
Brakes release.
Give way to the company ahead.
Clear to push.
We'll give way to the company Embraer 75 Brickyard 5.
Alright, while we're pushing back, we're going to go ahead and start up our engines, which is extremely easy to do in the Airbus A320 family. All we need to do is go down here, and we're going to move our engine ignition switch from the center to the right, like so. And then all we gotta do is start up the engine, and we'll start with engine 1, and you'll see our N2 is rising and engines are starting.
Remember to secure your own mask before assisting others, For your safety, we also have life vests located under your seat. To use them, pull the vest out, place it over your head.
Once you see a veil on that first engine, you can go ahead and start engine number 2. So all we do next is flip the ignition switch to, and there we go, starting 2.
Disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Alright, good start on engine 2. It does show a veil there as well, so we'll go back down here to the center pedestal, and we'll move our ignition switch to norm, and then we'll go to the upper here. We got our APU turned off, so we'll go master switch off and APU bleed off. Back down to the center pedestal again, and we'll go down here and get our weather radar and proximity warning system turned on. So PWS to auto, proximity warning system, and we'll put it on system either 1 or 2, doesn't actually matter. And weather radar is pretty much already on, not that it really does much in flight sim right now. While we're down here, we'll get our spoilers to arms, pull those up, and for this flight we're using flaps 2, but typically you can use flaps 1. And underneath the autopilot and next to the middle screen under the landing gear, you have your auto brake. We'll set that to max. So click on max, it should show on. And next, it's very important that we do a flight control check. I can't tell you how many times I have tried to fly without my controls connected. So to move my controls around, you'll see the screen automatically changes. You can check your flight controls. Now, one thing I can show you before we depart that's very important for the Fenix in particular. If I go to MCDU menu, go to config, and then controls config. This is where you can actually calibrate your throttles. If you hit the arrow to the right, you can also calibrate your side stick and rudder and your flaps as well. So make sure before you do your first flight in the Fenix that you come in here in the MCDU menu and calibrate your throttles. It's pretty easy to do. Okay, flight controls are working. Everything is free and correct. let's go ahead and get our taxi lights on and get our taxi clearance. So taxi light on and runway turn off can come on as well for taxi, mainly at night for extra lighting. And then we'll also hit this button right down here that says TO config. We'll click that and we should see all green takeoff config normal, all green no blue. If this is what you see, then you are ready for takeoff. Alright, I got my taxi clearance. I'm going to release my brake and I'm going to roll on out of here. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to say before taxi is get your transponder turned on, especially if you're flying with ATC. So get the on right there to the right and then TARA and make sure your code is typed in, of course. Runway 22 left, runway heading no delay, clear for takeoff, JetBlue 116. Alright, so we need to take the runway immediately. We've been cleared for takeoff. Last thing we need to do before we take off is just get our lights on. So our landing lights
cleared for takeoff, runway 22
right there, left and right, strobe lights on, nose takeoff lights on, and if it's nighttime you can also get the wing lights on as well. That's all you need to do there. So check the left side. We have somebody on final, but he's still pretty far out. Once we line up on the runway, we're going to push our throttle forward until we get into the flex detent, or you can just go full toga. That's fine too. Doesn't, it's whatever you want to do. But I'm gonna push my throttle up forward. There's climb, there's flex. Right there, you'll see flex, man flex plus 54. So power set. We're rolling. There it is. Airspeed is alive. Our V speed is 143, or our rotate speed is 143. Here comes 80 knots. Using my rudder pedals to stay in the center line here.
Kennedy Tower, American 950 established on the ILS runway 22 left.
We'll stay runway heading. And back pressure on the joystick here. Lifting up. I'm gonna pitch for 15 degrees in the climb. Once you get positive rate, as we are now, vertical speed going up, gear up. Again, pitching for 15 degrees in the climb. We'll stay runway heading, and I'll show you how to do that. So on the autopilot, you can see it already pre-selected 217. You see you have lever climb, so we'll bring our throttle back to the climb detent, which is right there. We should now see throttle climb boxed in. Auto throttle is now in control. We see auto throttle is lit. I'm going to go here and hit down arrow on our heading bug. We can see our heading is actually synced up with our current heading. We can go autopilot 1 on. There we go. So now the aircraft is flying via heading and OP climb. Now ATC just gave me contact departure, so we'll go to 125.7 on the radio. And aircraft will continue climbing until it gets to 5,000 feet. At 5,000 feet, it'll stop climbing. You go ahead and contact departure. Departure, JetBlue 116 is passing 3,000 for 5,000. Alright, we are good. Our flaps are good, so go flaps up.
JetBlue 116,
all the way up.
Departure radar contact, climb and maintain 16,000, turn left heading 140, vectors to wavy and on navigation.
Left heading 140. Climb, maintain 16,000, JetBlue 116. Alright, so left, we're going to scroll left, and since we have heading mode already engaged, the aircraft will turn on its own. So looking for 140. This is much easier when I have my wind wing autopilot connected. And we'll scroll up on our altitude.
Climb and maintain flight level 210.
Climb and maintain flight level 210, JetBlue 116. So we'll keep scrolling up to get to 210, that's 210. We can click up arrow here if we want, like so. And we'll also click up arrow on the speed, like that, press in. That's now managed speed, so it's going to basically go best speed it can, which is 250 knots, as we're below 10,000 feet at the moment. We're still in heading mode. We'll change my range here. Alright, so there's our first waypoint, wavy. Okay, we have been cleared direct to our first waypoint. To do that, we'll go down here to our FMS, go to flight plan. We're going to go to DIR or direct, and then choose wavy on our flight plan. If you do not have it on your flight plan, you can also type in the waypoint at the top. We'll click on wavy, and we'll click direct to insert. Boom. Now you notice the aircraft will automatically switch from heading mode to nav track mode. If I zoom in, we're flying directly to wavy now. So you don't have to do that separately. It'll do it on its own. So there it is. And here comes 10,000 feet. We're going to get our landing lights off, as well as our runway lights off, and our taxi lights off. Alright, as we pass 10,000 feet, man speed will now climb us, or speed us up to a much faster speed, so like 295 in this case. But aircraft is basically going to fly itself from here all the way to Orlando. All I got to do is change my altitude to our top altitude when ATC clears us, and we're good to go. If you're new to flight sim or you're new to Airbus, I hope this video was helpful to you. I was hoping to get you in the air as soon as possible. If you want to learn more about how to fly the A320s in much more detail, I mean, you can spend hours on every little system. And if you really want to geek out on that, that's cool. There's a lot of great YouTube videos online right now you can go check out to learn more about this aircraft and this aircraft family. But for now, I just want to get you in the air as soon as possible, and I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you have 3 choices. Give up, give in, and give it all you got. Peace, love, and God bless you. I'll see you guys next time, next video. I'm out.